It's a lot harder than people think, definitely, to create content, get it out there, get it noticed, and get people to come back. There's a real, the baseline is, like, obviously it looks easy because you just sat there talking to a camera playing a game, but to actually get people to stick around and watch, a lot of thought goes into it and things like that. So there's a lot more to it than people probably think, I imagine.
Hello all and welcome to the 7th episode of the Scouting Centre. Number 7, a show designed for you to get to know your favourite Football Manager content creators, as well as getting to know their content creation journey. My name is Diz, aka Mr_Diz83. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter and YouTube. Can I ask, if you're liking the series, like this video, subscribe to the channel and write in the comments who you want on future episodes of the Scouting Centre. And then at the end of this episode, go back and watch the other 6. We have had Second Yellow Card, we've had Bully Beef, we have had Dupe, Zealand, Sweet Left Foot and Omega Luke. Go and get to know them better and show some love to their videos as well. My guest today is a 23-year-old content creation sensation. He has close to 19,000 subscribers on his YouTube, where you'll find him currently doing his Lincoln Loco 3 save. His channel has had over 3 million views, and we just did the math. It works out to 18,000 days worth of watch time. On top of that, he's averaged over 4 years of content creation, 5 videos a week over those 4 years. He's 23 years old. He started streaming in March 2020, where he currently has over 3,900 followers on Twitch. And you'll find him doing his Mr. Worldwide save, where he's currently in charge of Roma. You'll have seen him this past weekend on the Streamer Showdown, where hopefully he will be Tom 2 times, having won one previously, being the youngest ever Streamer Showdown champion. He is pushing for partner. He is Lincoln's favourite son. I give to you, Tom FM. Tom, how are you doing, my man?
Well, that is a fantastic introduction. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm well. I'm good, thank you. Very well. How are you doing?
I am not bad. And I'm glad you liked. I like to think that these Scouting Centre introductions are something to write home about. And I was really impressed when doing my research into you, my friend. You've lived quite the content creation journey, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been pretty good so far, yeah. When you put it like that, it's been pretty good.
Well, we'll obviously go more into depth into it as we go on. But I think my first question to you, Tom, is what got you into Football Manager?
So, I guess for a lot of people, really. I don't know, actually. I think a lot of people that play Football Manager are a bit older, actually, aren't they, for the most part? For me, it was my dad. My dad just got me into it. He played it. And I saw him playing it and thought, Dad, can I play it? And he said, yes. And then I just got into it from there. So I wasn't very old. I was, 5, 6 years old, something like that, when I played my first save or something like that back on Championship Manager 2003, 2004. So yeah, not very old at all. But yeah, that's what got me into it, and I've been playing it ever since.
And then, 16 to 17 years later, you're content creating about it. You can't write that journey. What inspired you to become a content creator?
I didn't really. It was a bit of an accident, really. I didn't know that Football Manager content creation was a thing. I was scrolling on Facebook one day, and Lelujo, Kev, used to put some of his videos on Facebook, and it just came through as like a random suggested video on like the auto scroll bit, and I watched it and thought, this is pretty cool, and then saw they had the YouTube channel, found his YouTube channel from there, and then found that lots of people were doing it, but I didn't think lots of people were doing it very well, and I thought, right, I can do this better than most people. So I thought, right, I'll give it a go, and that's how the channel was born.
And then what steps did you take to prepare in relation, because you said you can do things better than others. What steps did you take to prepare when you first started content creating?
Not many. I think I was just excited, really, to get started with it. So I bought like a cheap little headset from Amazon or something like that, because I didn't want to put loads of money into it to start off with, because I did think, if this doesn't work out or I don't enjoy it, I don't want to have spent loads of money on a microphone or whatever. So I just bought this little cheap headset thing and played it on my laptop and recorded it. And the first videos that are still on my channel, they are terrible. Like, obviously in your head you have these grand plans of wow, I am class. I'm so good at this. I'm going to be amazing. In practice, you're probably not to start off with. I definitely wasn't to start off with. I was terrible for the first year or so, probably. But it's all that, constant practice and stuff. I get better and better and better. And yeah, you get to a point where you're pretty happy with your content.
Have you always had a background in some form of creation or some form of, I don't know, creativity?
Yeah, not a massive one, but I remember at school, actually going back, when I was really, really young, I think for my Christmas, when I was 7 years old, I was given a little camcorder, and I'd spend ages of time just making little silly videos with my friends at home. Me and my friends did a whole film series, we called it, on evil quavers, where there was the story was there was this packet of quavers that was really evil, and it would do evil things to people. A bit weird looking back on it, maybe, but that was, I distinctly remember making a lot of that. Any time we could make a video at school for a class project or something, I was making the video because that was what was fun. So I guess I've always enjoyed, filming, creating stuff. So yeah, I guess in a way a little bit of a background, but obviously as a hobby, nothing major. So yeah, I guess I've always enjoyed that. I guess I have done, yeah.
You mentioned researching Lelujo, Kevin. Was there anyone else that you researched in relation to their content and trying to get to know about content creation a little bit more? Did you reach out to anyone?
No, actually. I watch Kev's stuff, and I distinctly remember watching Kev's stuff. I don't know about watching other people's stuff, but Kev was what got me into it, essentially. And I think at the time, he'd been given a lot of advice out anyway, because I remember a video of his saying, I've just hit 10k subscribers. There's not many of us with 10k subscribers, so I want more people. This is what I'm doing. Try and get involved as well. That was a big inspiration as well, I think, that sort of video I remember at the time. So I thought, yeah, I'll do that as well. I'll get involved. So there wasn't really much. I think I was just very eager to get started. And I think maybe with hindsight, I should have done more research, because my first videos were rubbish. If I'd done more research and planned things out a bit better, not been quite so excited to get into it, maybe those first videos would have been better. But at the same time, I was so excited to get into it. I think, you can do all the research you want in the world. You're never going to... What am I trying to say? You can do all the research in the world, but the best bit of research is actually doing it. That's what I'm trying to say, I think.
And I think it's a massive step, because you did what a lot of people don't do, which is start. So despite what your videos might have looked like to begin with, you had a base that you could improve from, whereas some people never ever reach that target, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. And I think as well, a big part of it is, I think I was aware that, content creation isn't easy, and it's going to take a long time to get good at it. I think a lot of people, particularly in the Football Manager sphere, you'll see it all the time. I see it every week. I'll have 2 or 3, new people follow me who are saying, right, I'm a new Football Manager channel. They'll put a week's worth of content out there, and then they've not got 1,000 subscribers after a week, so give up. It's a lot harder than people think, definitely, to create content, get it out there, get it noticed, and get people to come back. There's a real, the baseline is obviously it looks easy because you just sat there talking to a camera playing a game, but to actually get people to stick around and watch, a lot of thought goes into it and things like that. So there's a lot more to it than people probably think, I imagine.
So when you start, we talked about it, on average, over 4 years, you have released 5 videos a week. How have you stayed so dedicated? I remember when I was 23 and going out all the time and all that stuff, and just kind of doing what I wanted to do, depending on the day and all that. You have managed from 19 to 23 to continue to, on average, release 5 videos a week. How have you stayed so dedicated?
Excuse me. I think it's because, more than anything, I'm a bit of a creature of habit, I think. I've not really realised it until recently, but structure and tracking things and habits are really prevalent in my life. And I really like being productive as well. So I started making videos in my second year at uni. And I just I just basically quit the rowing team at uni. I've been rowing for a few years, and then at uni, I joined the rowing team. We were training 20 hours a week or so, and that was a very structured sort of lifestyle in terms of, I had very set hours for training, very set hours for uni, and then outside of that was a bit of, obviously the free time and stuff. And then quitting the rowing because I didn't like the coach, basically. Quitting that, I then had like an extra 20 hours of like unstructured time almost. So I thought I've got to do something, and that's how I sort of got into the content creation. And then it just became part of routine. It's just part of my daily routine, and I think that's the most part. Like, it's become so ingrained into what I do. Not doing it would feel weird in a way, and I think that's probably how I've been able to stay consistent, because first and foremost, I really enjoy it, and so that obviously stops any sort of, not burnout. Obviously, you can get burnt out on things that you do enjoy. Like, I enjoy playing video games, but I don't want to play Assassin's Creed every single day, which is what I've been doing the past week or so. So I'm a bit burnt out on that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the main thing, it's just part of my routine. It's part of that sort of daily cycle, which keeps me sane in a way. So I guess that's probably the main answer to that. But rather convoluted way of putting it. But yeah, probably that.
Can I ask what you did at university?
Yeah, I did history and international relations.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like, at university, you're doing history and international relations and you fall into content creation. It goes to show that just because you're doing something at university, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's where you're going to end up, or what you're going to end up doing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, there's not really many doors open after history and international relations, I found out. I loved doing that course. It was great fun because it was like the subjects that I loved the most. But I think in terms of career prospects, maybe actually doing something like, I don't know, business like my friends had done, that might have been a bit better. But I really enjoyed it, and like it's allowed me to open up this door to content creation, and potentially down the line make it something full time, which would be amazing if that happened. But still a long way to go on that.
Yeah. So when did you think that you could actually make a go of this YouTube thing? At what point in your 4 years that you've been content creating on YouTube?
What was in like a viable career sort of path? You mean? Sorry.
Yeah. You weren't you weren't wasting your time. You felt like this was something that was an actual option, and you could actually make a reasonable living of it, doing something you enjoy.
Yeah. Okay. Probably like recently-ish. I think in the back of my head it was always the goal, because I'd watched Kev do it. I started watching him. He was a teacher, and soon he was going full time and things like that. And that was very inspiring, I remember. So I always had it in the back of my head like, that's a possibility down the line. I think the first year I did content creation, like, I didn't make any money. And obviously since then it's been growing. It's nothing to live on. I think I'd have to be like, going 5, 6, 7 times what I'm earning right now from content creation for it to become like a viable like job thing, because that's how little the ad revenue is basically nowadays. But yeah, it's always kind of been in the back of my mind, and it's days off like today, right? So it's Friday, we're recording this. I had a day off from work today because I've got to take annual leave basically before April comes around. So I've taken a few Fridays off. But obviously I've been like working today, essentially making videos, obviously doing this with you as well. Yeah. And it's the days like this where I'm busier than I would be when I'm at work, because I'm so busy doing all this stuff, but I enjoy it so much more. And like, that's what motivates me, knowing that actually, oh bloody hell, I really enjoy this. I hate work. No one likes it, obviously, but I don't really enjoy my job. But doing this I really enjoy it. So, and knowing that, maybe a couple of years down the line it could be a viable career option, that's also what kind of motivates me as well, sort of going back to that previous how do you do it, it's that sort of motivation as well that keeps me going too. So sort of link the two together a little bit.
So I mean, we've talked about you making videos. Can you just tell me what your normal routine is when on a work day, for instance? Because I think that would be quite interesting for people to know, so they could potentially work around that and figure out how you fit it in, so maybe they could as well.
Yeah, so it's been obviously a lot easier in the past 12 months during lockdown. because obviously we can't really go out and do much. The next bit's going to sound like really like a bit nerdy and a bit sad maybe, but like about a year ago my girlfriend and I broke up, which obviously is terrible, but at the same time it's like, oh, we've broken up now, I can devote more time to this as well if I wanted to. So it's like, oh, I'm so glad we broke up because then I can play more video games, like, you know what I mean? So that helped as well to an extent.
So that was an actual thinking process.
Well, it was, yeah, it wasn't part of the plan. I didn't want to break up. I was heartbroken, but
I'm sorry for that.
A silver. No, it's a silver lining though, to some weird extent. Anyway, the point is, there's not an awful lot going on in my life at the moment, which is why it's much easier as well. So, at the moment, the routine is my work is 9 to 5. So obviously work 9 to 5, and then I'll finish work, and then it's pretty much. I try and stay a day ahead essentially, so I'm not like rushing if I've got something else to do. So if say it's a Monday, wake up on Monday, I'll edit Monday's video the night before. So basically that will go up. So Monday I'm recording Tuesday's video, record that, edit it, upload it, and then play the next bit, which probably takes most of the evening to be fair. And then there's free time around that. But yeah, there's quite a lot of hours that go into it. Like yesterday I started work. Yesterday was a very busy day because obviously it's the Streamer Showdown at the moment. So I'm trying to get plenty of stuff prepared for the weekend, so I don't have to do too much at the weekend. So yesterday, work at 9 till 5, and then I finished that, and straight away I was on recording a quick video before I went to go and stream for the draft. The draft finished, then did the editing for that afterwards, and then we did a little bit of work on testing the database for the showdown stuff. So the time I was finished, it was like midnight. So that was pretty much like a solid 9 a.m. till midnight sort of thing. But it's weird though, because yes, I've put a lot of hours in, but it just feels like good fun, like with my mates basically. So a lot of the time it doesn't really feel like I'm like grinding work. I do quite enjoy it. So I don't know.
So, I mean, you've used that term about how you love it and all that stuff. I mean, a common phrase used is grinding in relation to content creation and keep the grind up, carry on grinding, etc., etc. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about it the other day. Weirdly, I don't like the term. I think if you say, "Oh, I'm grinding," I feel like you're doing it for the sake of doing it. You're doing it. And it feels like hard work, and it's I feel it's a negative word almost. I get used in a positive light, you're working hard and things like that. That's what it's obviously meaning. But I think if you say you're grinding, like, I get negative connotations from that. So I kind of feel that you're doing the process, but you're not enjoying it. So for me, like, it's a pleasure to make videos and things like that. So I wouldn't say I'm grinding. I'd say I'm having the time of my life almost sometimes, because it's a great journey, and it's great to know that people really enjoy what you produce. And that's a big motivation as well. Like seeing the comments and people saying they're really enjoying it, and actually seeing the viewing numbers as well is mental. Like, it astounds me that I've got thousands of people watching my content. So that's a big motivation as well, and I really enjoy it. So I wouldn't say I'm grinding. I'm having a good time.
Yeah. And once again, I think it's important that we acknowledge. I mean, you're 23 years old and your channel's had over 3 million views. You've obviously been very dedicated to it. 5 videos a week on average over 4 years, 18,000 days worth of watch time. Do you ever sit back and think, this is great, let me just enjoy it, or are you constantly looking forward at your next goals?
I think this is the biggest sort of. This is kind of a thing that I don't think many content creators will talk about, because I distinctly remember starting thinking, wow, one day if I get 1,000 subscribers, that is going to be absolutely insane. Like, that's going to be so mental. And then obviously I hit that, and, I've gone past that. And then you look back on that and think, 1,000 subscribers is not very much at all. But obviously when you start, that's amazing. Oh my God, 1,000, that's so many. I look back now and think, 1,000, that's not many. Yeah. And then, so it keeps going like that. So I'm very close to 20,000 subscribers now. And I'm like, I just want to get to that 20,000 subscriber mark. But the goal's 100,000 subscribers. In the grand scheme of things, compared to that, it's nothing to what I want. So I am always looking forward, and I think I do need to appreciate what is there a little bit more. I think you can get very caught up looking at goals in the future and forgetting, where you've come from, and forgetting the mindset that you used to have. When I hit that 1,000, I thought, wow, how amazing it would be to have 10,000, and then I got to 10,000, and you kind of forget how you felt at those. I think at 1,000 subscribers, I bought myself a bottle of Prosecco, I remember, and celebrating it with my housemate at the time, and stuff like that. And I think I need to celebrate those little achievements a bit more every now and again, because 20,000 subscribers, I could, if everyone got together who subscribed to my channel in the same place at 20,000 subscribers, I could sell 2 nights at Sincilbank, Lincoln City Stadium. I could sell it out 2 nights if everyone came. And that's mental when you think about that as well, when you actually think about the physical number of people in a location. So, yeah, I think I kind of got off a tangent here. I can't really remember what the exact question was, but yeah, basically, I think I probably spend too much time looking forward, not enough time appreciating the journey that I've been on.
But I guess that's how you can keep your 5 videos a week or your content. Because I know this week, going forward, obviously you got the Streamer Showdown this weekend. I know you've said you're going to stream 7 days in a row.
I regret saying that now, but I'm doing it.
Because you're pushing for partner as well, aren't you? For Twitch partner.
Yeah, pushing for that. And like this week, I think there'll be 9 videos going to my channel this week as well, which is a bit too much probably, but there should be 9 going out this week, I think, if I got the maths right on that.
Yeah.
Maybe 8, I can't remember now. No, I think it'll be 9. And yeah, so there's a lot of that. So yes, like you say, it's good to have that mentality of always looking forward, because that is what drives you to keep pushing on, definitely. So I need to strike a bit better a balance of it, I think.
Yeah. So we know you're a huge Lincoln City fan. It's kind of become part of your identity almost, I'd suggest.
It has done, to be fair.
Yeah, how important are they to you? And obviously we can talk about your Lincoln loco save as well, because you're taking 3 different Lincolns to the top on your YouTube, aren't you? Explain how that came about and why Lincoln is so important to you and why you've involved him so much in your content. Yeah,
so I think, Lincoln's important to me because it's the hometown, and I'm obviously very proud of where you come from, I think. And I think also, underlying all of that, it's an identity. Everyone's, the first question you ask people as to, what's your name is where you're from, sort of thing. Where it's an identity, in a way. And I think that's kind of what I've clung on to in a way. I don't know. Lincoln's important. I love the city. It's my hometown. And a lot of what is around Lincoln, like Cathedral, for example, I think that has to have a huge impact on why history was always my favourite subject at school, why I did it at university and things like that. So I guess just being proud of where you come from, of course. It also helps, supporting the local team, because that is also another identity as well, your sports team, so Lincoln City for me. So maybe it is all identity, I don't know. There's probably more to it than that, so I need to think about it a bit more perhaps. But Lincoln City, obviously always supported them. My great, I think it's 3 greats uncle, he was chairman as well, so
oh wow,
a long time ago. So that's an important part, definitely, and it's good to support the team that you your local team, I suppose. Growing up, I was the only kid that did support my local team. All my friends supported Liverpool, Man United sort of thing, even though none of them have any connections to those places. So for me, I guess it was also the connection of wanting to support Lincoln as well. So yeah, there's that part of it. And then it just seems sensible to me, if I'm doing content creation, I would want to watch something but I could visibly see the creator was enjoying.
Yeah.
And I knew that I would enjoy creating a series about the team I support. So FM 18, Lincoln Loco 1 came out doing a save with Lincoln City. And that was the first series that really had quite a bit of success behind it, which is fantastic. Let's Play series that was. Experiments, I think, did a lot of legwork to get the viewers in, but in terms of actual viewership and keeping people retained for a while, Lincoln Loco 1 was really, really good for that. So yeah, that's where that sort of came from. And because I did so well, and I'd sort of built this identity up a little bit of people recognise me as the guy who likes Lincoln.
Yeah.
I thought, well, Lincoln Loco 2, let's do that. Let's take Lincoln United, who are like the traditional non-league team in Lincoln, and see what we can do with them. So they're like tier 9 or 8, I can't remember what it is now. But let's try and take these guys up all the way, which was a lot of fun. And they did that in FM 19. And then FM 20, I did some different stuff. But people always seem to come back to the Lincoln Loco, said, Lincoln Loco's a great save. So it just made sense to do another Lincoln in the name team. So we've gone to Gibraltar to do Lincoln Red Imps over there, and did a bit of database editing to move them into La Liga so we can move up the Spanish system, because obviously it'd be very boring if we just stayed in Gibraltar the entire time. So we had a journey through Spain, and then there's the options down the line of, there's a team in Argentina called Lincoln, which we could do. It was a creator club we could do at some point as well. So there's plenty of things to branch off on. Obviously then people recognise that identity, and people like familiarity, don't they?
Yeah.
At least I've sort of had that from experience. So if they can see something kind of familiar on their sub feed, they're more likely to click it, I'd imagine.
No, I think that's amazing, and it's a very unique idea, I find. I was going to ask you, where do you go after this? And the fact that there are other teams, Creative Club, Argentina League, I think that's amazing. In March 2020, then you decided to start streaming. How did you come about that decision?
So it was just after the first lockdown was announced, and everyone was sort of being told, right, can't leave the house, blah, 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 blah. And my work were kind of like, we don't know what's going on right now, so we'll be in touch with you as and when we know what's happening. So I kind of had like a week where I wasn't doing anything. And I'd always kind of had the idea, I might start streaming at some point. So it was just like a good excuse to just get started with it during that sort of peak, that week where I wasn't working and no one else had anything else to do because we're all at home. So I said to my audience, like, let's do a live stream. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So I just got a group of my friends to do a draft mode with me because I wasn't really sure what else to do. So we all just played. I think it was also in that 2-week period where FM did the. It was free for like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was in that period as well. So all my friends got it. So we all just did a draft mode, which was really good fun. And then since then, just carried on with it, and it's been really good fun. It's such a different way of creating content and presenting content, and I really really enjoy it. So yeah, I've just not stopped since.
Do you find you've adapted well to streaming? Because obviously YouTube and streaming are two different skill sets, aren't they?
Massively. It was a bit of a learning curve at the start, definitely, because I've come from a world where I talk for half an hour recording, edit it down into 15-20 minutes, and a lot of the time I'm just sort of like sat, clicking through things, or if I make a mistake, I can edit it out and things like that. Streaming is very different because you've got to be constantly on it to keep people engaged, because people's attention spans are not very long, and so you can lose people's attention very, very easily. And so trying to stay as engaging as possible was a bit of a learning curve to start off with. It becomes more natural as you present and things like that, and do more and more of it, get more experienced at it. So yeah, definitely a learning curve to start off with, but they're definitely two different styles, and it does take a bit of time to get used to it and adapt to them both.
And then when you started, did you have an idea of how you wanted your stream style to be?
Kind of. I think those first couple streams I did with my friends, it was just like hanging out with them, but obviously playing Football Manager instead. So I think a lot of going on from that, I basically wanted my streams to just kind of be like you're chilling out with your mates in the pub, Football Manager on the background, but it's more of a conversation. It's more of an interaction, and we're just having a big, long conversation about something. It could be anything, whatever the chat sort of bring up. And then we're kind of looking for those moments in a stream that people are like, oh, wow, that's meant. So YouTube for me is a lot more storytelling I'm telling a story, keeping people engaged that way. Streaming for me is keeping people engaged by having a conversation with them as if we're down at the pub having a great time, blah 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 blah. But then we're also having those moments in there, something mad happens in the game, we lose a cup final, we win a cup final, I know, something like that. We're looking for those moments that people then sort of remember, and then that also helps them come back for more next time because they know there's going to be some sort of big moment which is going to be quite interesting or exciting or something like that.
And you've never streamed over 35 hours in a month, yet you're at partner numbers. What do you put that down to?
I put it down to the fact that I built my YouTube channel in the first place, and I just said to people on YouTube, "Can you follow me, please?" And that's what it is. That's what it is. Because I've come from the YouTube world, I do find streaming hard. I really find it difficult to stream more than 2 hours at a time, because I lose concentration and things like that. Definitely after like 2 hours or something like that. Particularly if you're talking constantly for 2 hours, it does get a bit tired. So kudos to the guys that do like 5, 6, 7 hour streams like daily almost. Like that's mental to me. So I really struggle with that. But honestly, I was very lucky in the fact that I had that YouTube channel in the first place. I could just bring the audience over. If I started off streaming, I think I would have found it so difficult because sometimes we might have like 50, 60, 70 people in the stream, and sometimes the chat might not be quite so active, and I'm finding it difficult to keep engaged with them, to keep talking essentially, and I find that difficult. So if I'd started streaming and I'm only streaming to like 1, 2, 3 people, I would have lost all motivation. I would not have done it if that was the case. If I'd chosen to start on Twitch rather than YouTube, and that was I could not have done it. So I have mad respect for people who are streaming to like the small numbers, because I would find that so difficult, and I wouldn't be able to do it, and I wouldn't be able to keep motivated with it. So the people that keep doing it and come back all the time to do it, like kudos to them. Like keep going with it, boys, because that is absolutely monumental, and you will get there at some point if you keep doing it, you're consistent with it. You'll get there. Keep improving. Every stream better than the last one. You'll get there.
I'm glad you said that, to be fair, because I was just about to mention that about keep improving. How important is that improvement on a day-to-day basis, and how do you try and improve something you've done previously in relation to your YouTube and your Twitch streams?
Yeah, the constant improvement is massive. I try and go in the mentality that, okay, this video is going to be better than the last one. And, obviously, every single video isn't going to be better than the exact last one. You might have an incredible video due to circumstance, for example. You won a cup or something like that, or, something good happens, and because of what's going on, you make a very good video. Some days you're not feeling up to it, so the video's not quite so good. But generally speaking, the aim is to make each video better than the last. And the overall trend in the end, every video is going to be better than the last. If you go back, 50 videos, that video 50 videos ago is not going to be as good as the one that I've done today. If you go back, 50 videos before that one, that video 50 days before the one that I said 50 days before. I'm getting myself confused, but you get the general point. The overall trend is going upwards, and it's always trying to improve, whether that's presenting better, whether that's trying to tell the story a little better, where you're trying to just improve the flow of what's happening in the video so it's not quite so clunky, for example, or in the editing style of things, you make your editing better, it's all a bit smoother, a bit more seamless. It's just trying to make those little small improvements every single time, which then over time will make a huge impact. And I think that's hugely important, because if your audience can see over time that you are improving as well, they're more likely to stick around as well. At the end of each series that I do, I will have a bit of an analysis, I struggle with that word then, of kind of how this series has gone, what the strengths were, what the weaknesses were, what I can improve on, to then try and make the next series that I do better. So, yeah, I'm already thinking about that, obviously, for the series after the Lincoln Loco, trying to make notes of, this isn't quite working so well, I need to change that for the next series if I need to, and things like that. So, yeah, always trying to get yourself better is good, and I think a lot of that as well can be found by getting inspiration from others, like watching other content creators. I don't do enough of that, obviously, because I spend all my time making and recording and playing. There's not a lot of time left for watching others, so I do need to spend a bit more time watching others, bigger and smaller creators than me to see what they're doing and seeing what works, because there are some really great creators out there who have a lot less subscribers than I do, who are much better than me when I was at that level. And so there's a lot of people that I need to keep tabs on, so I can get inspiration from them as well to make my content better. So that's always a good way of doing things too.
And it's also not just confined to the Football Manager community as well, isn't it? There's like content creators across all sorts of communities where you can go and kind of get inspiration from. I mean, I started with, I didn't know about Twitch until March 2020, and I first started with FIFA content creators, which then brought me over to Football Manager. Not that I've never, I love Football Manager. I've played it since I was 15 or something like that. But there's a range of different content creations you can look at, isn't there?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, they all go hand in hand. Overall, content creation for the most part on YouTube is telling a story of some sort. That's the whole point of the video. You're telling some sort of story, explaining something. It's all sort of a bit narrative driven. So I feel like you can watch anything, understand how that person tells a story, and then try and put it into your own content. So that's what I kind of quite like doing as well.
You've applied for partner a couple of times, and unfortunately you've been turned down. How did you deal with that setback?
Yeah, so Twitch obviously has this achievement progress in place. So obviously you get to like the affiliate status, and then you get to the partner status. So for partner, you need 75 average viewers across at least 12 streams, streaming 25 hours over that sort of stuff over a month period, basically. And that's in there. And once you reach that, you can then apply for partnership. So I did that, met those targets, was like, brilliant, right, I can apply for partnership now. I'll become a partner. And I was talking to Nerdphonic about it at the time, Matt, and he said, they've got this achievement in there, but even though you've met that, doesn't mean that you're actually going to get partner. They'll look at your channel and then say yes or no. It just means that's a threshold you need to actually apply in the first place. Otherwise, everyone would just apply, obviously. Yeah. Which made sense, but it does seem a little bit frustrating that there's that sort of hard numbers in there, and then you can reach that and then not get it. So after Matt said that to me, I was kind of expecting, okay. In that case, maybe I won't be getting partnership then. So applied for it. Took a long time to hear back, about 9 weeks to hear back. And obviously they said no, which is obviously a bit gutting, but I kind of was expecting it, particularly when they left it that long. So carried on streaming. I thought, right, I'll get a few more months going of some good numbers, and we can apply again. So applied again about a month after FM21 came out, and I had those, I had some good numbers on the streams. And then it's my fault really, because I applied and then didn't really do much streaming at all throughout December. Which was my own fault really. So obviously they turn me down there, and they see someone gets some good numbers and they just stop. I think as well, they reject people on the first time because they want to see if you actually are consistent and want to keep doing it. Because if people do want to keep doing it, they'll give you partner another time down the line. So it's just a waiting game. I'll get it at some point. I know I will. I'm very confident in that. For the past 2 months, numbers have been really good, so obviously I'm going to do a big push in March. I think I'll probably apply sort of mid-March, but then keep actually, making sure everything is really up to scratch. So they've not really got much of an excuse to turn me down a third time, fingers crossed.
So did that demotivate you, or were you quite, well, it's going to happen anyway, so I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing?
I think because they took 9 weeks to get back to the first time, I was expecting it, so it wasn't very demotivating because I just knew it was going to happen at that point. If they got back to me in a week and said no, that probably would have been a bit more demotivating, I imagine. And then the second time, again, I probably kind of was expecting it a little bit. But I don't know, I'm going into the attitude of the third application where that happens, that the worst that can happen is they'll say no, I've got to apply again. And I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll get there. I know I'm going to get it at some point. For me, it is I'm going to struggle with this one. It is an inevitability. There we go. I got the word out. It's going to happen. I'm so determined on that. I know it's going to. So when it happens, I don't mind. I just know it will do at some point.
it sounds like a very positive, looking forward attitude to have, because I know it can be quite demotivating for others. It's really nice to hear.
No, yeah, definitely. I can completely get how it is demotivating, but I think you've always just got to look at it, try and look at everything in a positive light. That's what I try and do.
That's nice to hear, to be fair. What's been your streaming highlight so far?
It would definitely be winning the showdown. Winning the showdown. That was an awful lot of fun when that happened. Particularly because on the league, I was obviously in the elimination game. It didn't go very well on the Saturday. Then to win the elimination game, and then for the narrative to then go through every round, win the final, not lose a single game on the Sunday as well. That was even better. Not lose a single game on the Sunday and then win it. That was quite a nice crowning achievement, particularly because of you're beating everyone else. I'm quite competitive, so it's nice to beat everyone else, but also to have it as as part of a big ongoing project. To have that there as well. That's also quite nice.
It's also formed a massive part of your introduction, so thank you, Streamer Showdown.
Yes, exactly.
Hopefully this weekend it will be two time.
Fingers crossed. I'm pretty sure I've got the best defence. Going forward, maybe not quite so good, but for me, I've got Trent, Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, Ramos, Maguire in there, maybe not quite so strong, but for me, the best back line in the whole thing. So I'm confident that I won't concede too many goals.
So how did your involvement come about in the Streamer Showdown? Because it must have been amazing to get that phone call message. Well, it would have been a message, not a phone call, isn't it? It must have been amazing for you to get that message to say you were going to be involved in it, or to ask whether you wanted to be involved in it.
Yeah, it was really nice, actually. Obviously, I think by the time when the first one came out, I might not even have been streaming at that point, or I might have just started streaming. Either way, I wasn't really into the streaming stuff, so I wasn't really in that stream sphere. So I saw obviously it was sort of being put on by Ben, Foxy, and things like that. But then the way it's grown, it's been nice, yeah. And then sort of to get that recognition, because I was mates with a lot of these guys. I say mates. The thing is, we've become really good mates since all of this. This is the thing. I think the biggest thing that perhaps the audience maybe don't quite get the full effect of is, I think before the showdown was a thing, there was obviously the We Stream FM stuff. There was a few other streaming groups of a couple of people who were mates and things like that. Obviously, Jack and Ben were good mates and things like that. But I think it's brought a lot of people a lot closer together because we are in regular contact now about something like a group project essentially. And so we do spend a lot of time talking. And so we are really good mates now and things like that. But obviously, I knew the guys. I've spoken to a lot of them before and things like that. So no, it was nice to be sort of recognised because it's a bit of a nod to you. If you get asked, it's a bit of a nod to know that you're a decent creator to a decent level. So there, it was nice to get that call up, definitely. And I was really excited because that first one that I did, obviously Manny was in there as well.
Yeah.
And to just even be in fact, was Spencer in that one as well? I think he might have been in the one afterwards. I can't remember. Either way, I know Manny because I lost the final to Manny, that one, obviously. Yeah. But to be then put in a situation where you're, competing and creating content alongside someone that you really admire and look up to is mental. So that was pretty exciting as well. So no, it was nice to be included and sort of put on the same sort of level as someone like that. I think that was amazing. So yeah, that was quite special actually.
I was gonna say, so obviously you're quite young and you've achieved so much. It must be amazing for you to maybe get ideas from some of these more experienced content creators, but also give some ideas as well, because you're the new kid on the block. And I know that sounds strange to say because you've been around for 5 years, but I mean, you can share your, maybe a bit more innovation and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone that comes in, has always got fresh ideas. That's how you progress and innovate and make things better. It's always fresh ideas. So at the end of every showdown, on the Sunday, it finishes on the Sunday, we all have a big debrief on Discord. So there's 20, 25 of us in a call debriefing what happened. And one of the first questions we ask ourselves is, okay, what can we do next time that's better? And there's loads of ideas get thrown out, which is really good. And that's obviously a great way that we can keep improving. And another question that we always ask ourselves is, right, who should be in it next time? You know, who are we looking at that's not already involved to get involved? So there's always lots of people on the radar. But again, like, I think, so there was a lot of people not quite happy with the lineup, the most recent one, because people were saying, oh, it's the same old. And like, I can understand where they're coming from to an extent, but obviously the Showdown has grown to the point where, you know, we have like KFC as a sponsor, which is absolutely mental. We get people on who are some of the leading content creators like in the world, and like Manny and a Spencer and an FNG and stuff like that. So as much as, you know, we want to include new people, and we do, like Josh Peach is coming in this time, there's got to be a level of do we know you? That sounds a bit harsh, doesn't it? Because that's not quite the case. But it's like we need to know that you are capable of handling it, and like you've got a good rapport with us. We don't want to drop people in to a situation where they've not spoken to any of us before, and suddenly they're on a stream with us for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Because that's first and foremost very uncomfortable for that person. You know, you don't want to get dropped in there and not know anyone, and everyone else knows each other. So it's trying to integrate people in slowly. That's kind of what I was trying to say in the first place. Trying to integrate people slowly so that they feel comfortable, and then if they feel comfortable, that's obviously then much better for the overall production. So that's a big part of what we do as well.
It's also, you can't have 8 brand new people, can you? Because who's going to watch it? I mean, you've got a product.
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
You've got to establish your product. You've got sponsors. You've got to satisfy your sponsors.
Yeah, precisely. And of course, like we say, like audiences do love a level of familiarity. So, you know, seeing the people that they watch on a regular basis in there, you know, the Ben, Zealands, Jacks, things like that, like they're staples in there. So no, it's good to have that sort of level of familiarity. I'm struggling with that word, aren't I? Familiarity. I should be better at speaking, shouldn't I? I literally talk half my life. But
I do it all the time.
yeah, words throw me off. So yeah, and obviously, yeah, we've got to have those obligations for sponsors and things like that. And obviously, if you just throw 8 new people in there, I don't. There's also that sort of 80-20 rule, isn't there? Where, you know, for example, like as a general rule, for example, like 80% of the world's money is owned by 20% of the world's people, or and putting that into like a Football Manager context, 80% of the views would go into 20% of the creators or something like that. At the end of the day, we are trying to grow something as well, and make it better. And so obviously to do that, you do need the views as well. So that's why I've also got to have, you know, the staples in there and a level of familiarity with similar people on there most times.
And it also helps with, because at the end of the day, you're creating content. Like we've talked about before, content is storylines. You can't have storylines with brand new people and then expect the same level of engagement. For instance, Dr. Benji, for instance, you know, I'm sorry to say this if you're watching this, and I know he does watch the show, so thank you, but he hasn't won one yet. That might change by the time this comes out. But that's part of a narrative, isn't it? To the point where he's saying now that this is his last one if he doesn't win it. And that's part of the storyline, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's all narrative driven, a lot of it. And then particularly when it comes to like Ben and Zealand's rivalry in there, for example. You know, that's in there. And a lot of the time we do like to bring people in pairs for a bit of storyline. So like we brought Luke and Luke and Mike were brought in at the same time because they had that sort of twin rivalry going on, things like that. So we're, you know, trying to bring in existing rivalries and narratives as well. All helps, like I say, create part of a better show and experience for the audience. And
then not only are you invited to the Streamer Showdown, obviously Ben says you can do a maximum of 5, and this is your 6th. You are obviously a pivotal part of the Showdown. That must be quite humbling.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, it is. It's really nice to be, you know, keep being asked back and things like that. So, yeah, Ben was. I think he's. Well, the general rule is we don't want to do, you know, 4 or 5 in a row any more than that, because, like we say, we do want to keep things fresh. We do want to keep rotating things around. We do want to invite more people in there. But it's been a bit more circumstance as to why I've been involved in like 6 in a row when I should have like stopped at 4 in a row. And I think it was kind of started on like I think the general rule back in the day, I say back in the day, like 6 months ago, it was like a 2 showdown rotation kind of. So we had the same sort of lineup for two showdowns. So my first 2, I was obviously in both of those as part of that rotation. We then sort of switched things up again, and I was asked back for a 3rd time. But then I won that, so winner stays on sort of thing. So then that was my 4th one. But that was also the last one of FM20. FM21 comes out, and because it was a new game, we kind of started again a little bit. So I was invited to the first one, which is very, very nice. And then I wasn't meant to be in this one. Sort of the plan going into it was, all right, Tom, you're not going to be in it. But then Kev couldn't be in it because of other commitments that he had and busyness. So he couldn't be in it. So Ben just said to me, "Oh, Tom, can you be in it instead?" So that's all circumstance more than anything else. It's all circumstance. I shouldn't really be in this one. I will not be in the next one unless I win this. In fact, even if I win this one, I'll say to Ben, like, just don't put me in the next one, because we do want to keep things fresh and things like that. And obviously we can then make a narrative as to why I'm not in the next one, defending the crown and stuff like that. So that also adds to that sort of thing. So sorry for the spoilers, people who think it's all not narrative driven. It's all planned out. It is all planned out. Sorry to spoil that a little bit.
Yeah. And then obviously you went and you won it. You've described in briefly how you felt. How was that overall feeling of victory, basically? Obviously having lost the final before.
Yeah, it was really nice actually, as a bit of redemption. That first final, the thing is, it all comes with experience, right? It all comes with experience. So that first final against Manny, I was so excited. I was so up for it, because not only was I playing Manny in the final, because obviously he is like, you know, one of the most successful people ever on YouTube, and Twitch as well. So I was really excited to be in like the final against him. And then obviously I lost that, which wasn't great. But the circumstances I lost it in was mental. Like Callum Wilson scoring a hat-trick in like the last 18 minutes of the game to win it was just... So it's sort of situations where it's like you have to laugh, really, because of the circumstance. So going into the final against Jack, I was more motivated to win because I didn't want to lose a final for a second time. But also at the same time, I also wasn't going to be quite so devastated if I lost, because, you know, I've been through that process before. You know, I've been a bit more embedded into the showdown. I was a bit more used to it. So I wasn't going to be quite so devastated if I lost, but luckily I won. So winning it was fantastic. I was on top of the world for the rest of that night, definitely.
What have you found most difficult about streaming, and how have you overcome these difficulties?
Well, like I said earlier, I really struggled to stream for more than 2 hours. I'm not quite sure why. I just get to the sort of around a 2 hour period and I'm like, bloody hell, right, I need to stop now because I'm really feeling it. So that's probably the most difficult part, maybe. But I think like I'm getting better at doing longer streams. But I think it also comes with I'm just learning how to stream better. Like I've been doing it for a year or so. It's completely different to YouTube. I'm just getting better at actually that live engagement with an audience, you know, keeping things going, keeping people engaged. I think that's part of it as well, keeping people engaged. So it's just through experience, trial and error. That's how I'm, I suppose, getting around it as well.
And you have characters like Arrogant Tom, don't you, as well?
Yeah. Well, this is brought up. Well, but I guess, yeah. I think the showdown, Arrogant Tom, right? Yeah. Like, I don't realise I'm doing it, but I'm just really competitive. Like, I want to win. Like, I am really competitive when it comes down to it. So, the competition brings out a side of me that I don't think many people had really experienced before, because I'm doing everything on my own beforehand. You know, you make your videos, you do your streams, you're on your own. So, it's completely different to actually playing against other people, and I get very competitive. So, there is a side of me that comes out in a competitive sort of atmosphere where I probably do get a bit arrogant and cocky because I want to win. So that's where it comes from. So yeah, there is that. But it's, yeah, and there's also ways of trying to find, you know, keep the audience engaged. So I've just recently started doing my game show Contract or No Contract, where I've just ripped the sounds from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and we just go into a high pressure situation trying to offer a contract to a player, but it's just amplified by the little graphic that I've made and the music in the background. So it's really simple, but it's just doing something like that, going the slight extra mile than someone else is doing to keep people engaged as well, and that keeps people going as well, definitely. So it's just trying to find those little extra gains that other people aren't doing, to get people involved more. It's all about doing that little bit extra to get the engagement up and give people a reason to come back, definitely. To make people like streaming is all about moments, I feel.
Yeah.
And if you can give people that moment where they're like, oh, that was such a great moment, I'll come back and hopefully have more of those moments, sort of thing. I think that's a big part of it.
So what are your future plans in relation to your content creation?
Yeah, it's a good question, because I'm not quite sure right now, actually, now I think about it. I think it's very easy to fall into the trap when you're creating content, particularly when it's over a long period of time, like a Football Manager save, which can go into the hundreds of episodes, like mine typically seem to do. To sort of get into a routine of, okay, that's all I'm doing, that's all I need to publish. Basically, there's loads of interest at the start. That's where you get a lot of subscribers, but where I'm at right now, season 11 of the Lincoln Loco 3, that is not generating new subscribers really, because no one is subscribing off. No one's watching season 11 if they've not started the whole season, essentially, from the start. So I do need to get back into doing a bit more the evergreen content, experiment style stuff, although not experiments because they don't really do so well anymore. That's what got a lot of people to my channel in the first place in the early days. So, done a lot for me. The experiment, the billionaire stuff, that was what really took my channel off the ground to start off with. So it's trying to sort of do... I mean, Luke's obviously doing really well at the moment with his Wonder Kid stuff. Obviously, Zealand and Foxy do very well on their kind of tutorial-like videos. I need to do something sort of in that realm, but obviously not what they're doing, because, you can't just copy people. But take some inspiration from them to create a bit more evergreen content. So there's always something like fresh for people to watch that's going to bring new people in, and then they'll get involved in the Lincoln Loco or whatever series I'm doing. So I need to do a bit more of that going forwards, definitely. After the Lincoln Loco, the plan is, well, my initial plan was to do a Building a Nation save in South America, but the issue with that is I put it with Discord and said to people, would this be a good save? And people were like, we don't really want to watch a South American save. So maybe that won't happen. I don't know. I'll do a Building a Nation of some sort, but probably maybe more European based now, I think. But we'll see what other people say, because I've got a very small sample size on my Discord. I'll do a little poll on YouTube or something like that. And then in terms of the streaming stuff, it's just the Journeyman save on there at the moment, which is good fun. But I feel like I need to do a little bit more with the stream saves. I need to work out what that more actually is at the moment. But I need to do something to get it into people's minds a little bit more, I think. Because like Clates does a great job at the moment. Like Clates does an awful lot of stuff around his stream saves, which makes it all really engaging. So I need to take a leaf from his book, I think, definitely, on some of the stuff that he does.
And then, of course, this weekend, you're obviously going to become Tom Two Time.
Fingers crossed, yeah. The showdowns are always really good fun. We're trying to do more content around that. So there's more for people to watch, essentially. We're trying to get some podcasts. Well, sort of not really podcasts. They started out as an idea of a podcast. It's more of an actual, its own show now, I think. That's going to be going out on Twitch, where we sort of talk about, on Friday, it'll be on Fridays, talking about the draft that's happened into the weekend ahead, and there'll be one on Mondays as well, I think, sort of looking back over the weekend. So that's extra content on there. So trying to work a bit of stuff around there is decent. So there's loads of plans that we've got going forward, which are going to be like amazing if they come off, or when they come off, because they will happen. They will do at some point. We're pretty confident on that. So there's plenty of stuff to work on that as a collective, I guess, which is also quite cool.
Is there anything you would do differently in relation to your content creation so far?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I got a message one day from Zealand, like 2 or 3 years ago, saying, "Hey, I've got the FM Base channel. Do you want to do some content with me?" And I said, "I'm too busy," because I wasn't at the time. I regret that, because he's done very well off that. No, that's no, I think. Yeah, I think with hindsight, it was always things that you can do better. But I wouldn't have. It's difficult because it's all saying with hindsight. If I'd known at the time, I would have done it. But I didn't know at the time, so I wouldn't have done it. maybe been a bit more. I should have always done a bit more evergreen content. That sort of died off a bit, like experiments and things like that. I should have done a bit more of that. That would have helped growth more than it has been. So maybe doing a bit more of that kind of stuff, getting into that sort of, like obviously Luke's done, like I said, Luke's done really well, Fox has done really well, Zine done really well with their style of content. If I could go back and start doing that before they did it, then yeah, brilliant. But a lot of it I wouldn't have thought of or known. So I don't think I've really any regrets or changes. So that I wouldn't have, it's not like I've thought of something in the past and thought, should I do that? Shouldn't I do that? And I haven't done it and it's not worked out. So a very convoluted way of saying no, I guess.
What's the best thing about being a content creator so far for you?
What is the best thing about it? I think it's definitely the engagement with people, because particularly when it comes onto the Twitch stuff, like I feel like I'm really forging friendships with people in there, because we talk often and it's a whole conversation. Like YouTube's great because the comment section is there, but it's kind of like someone comments, I'll reply, and then it's kind of left. Like on Twitch, you really do get to know people very well. I've got to know obviously other creators really, really well through the Showdown stuff, and people on Twitter as well. So that's been really good fun. That's probably been the best part, getting to know people, building those relationships and making friends. Like that's been a really rewarding part of it, definitely. But also, like, I think the skills that I've learned along the way, not just in terms of like, presenting or editing, it's all the general skills that you could, it's so transferable. Like, you're, having a good workload and knowing when to work hard and, give yourself a break and, time organization, or like all those kind of like buzzwords that come up in like, job interviews and stuff like that. Like there's so much I can take from this to apply into like a real career, that I think is really invaluable, I think.
Yeah. And then the final question, if there's one piece of advice you could give to a new content creator, what would it be?
That's a good question. I think the bit of advice I'd give to a new content creator is to keep consistent. Keep consistent and always aim to make your next video better than your last. That's the biggest one for me. Like we touched on it earlier on, time and time again, people make a week's worth of videos, they don't get 1,000 subscribers and they just stop. When they could be amazing. You've given it a week, you're given it 7 videos, for example. You're not gonna. My first 7 videos are absolutely awful. If I'd stopped then I wouldn't have got to the stage I am obviously right now. I feel like I make good quality videos now. They can always be better, obviously, but I'm at that very good stage, and I wouldn't have got there if I'd not been consistent. If I'd not had that attitude, I'm going to make this video better than my last one. So that's the biggest one, I think, going out there. Always keep consistent, keep putting it out there, and always go in the mentality of trying to make it better than your last one.
Tom, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of what I imagine is an incredibly busy 4 or 5 days for you to do the Scouting Centre. I'd want you to know I really appreciate that.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to be on here, having a chat with you, and it's been really good fun. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Tom. Tom, where can we find you on your socials?
So YouTube and Twitch is just Tom FM. That's pretty easy. Twitter, it's TomFM_YT, because there's a guy in Spain who's got the @ of Tom FM. I've tweeted him several times. He won't give it to me, which is really sad. So @ Tom FM, if you want to follow some guy in Spain, @ TomFM_YT if you want to follow me.
Excellent. Once again, thank you so much for doing this show. That's it. I hope you really enjoyed getting to know Tom FM better. He's obviously got the Streamer Showdown this weekend. By the time this comes out, he could be Tom 2-time champion, as well as Kevy 5 times.
I will be Tommy 2 times. I'm putting this out there now. I will be. All right, there we go.
You will be Tommy 2. See, I didn't want to call you Tommy just in case, because we didn't discuss that beforehand. That's why I've been saying Tom 2 times.
Yeah,
but I'm glad you said that now. Tommy 2 times, it rolls off the tongue so much better.
Tommy felt natural saying that, so we'll go with that.
Tom, once again, thank you so much. That's it, viewers. If you did enjoy this show, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, let me know who you want on the next episode of the Scouting Centre, and then also go back and watch the other 6. Like I said before, we've had Second Yellow Card, we've had Bully Beef, Dupe, we've had Zealand, we've had Sweet Left Foot, and we've had Omega Luke. Thank you so much, and I will see you all on the next episode of the Scouting Centre. Take care, bye bye. So we'll clap sync in, so 3, 2, 1 clap. So
Sure.
3, 2, 1.
That was a better clap for me that time. So
It sounded strong. That was a strong clap.
good. That's all right then. That's all right.
You know, I've mentioned it a few times. I'm 37 years old, so I can recognise a quality clap.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a good
That was
handshake,
quality.
isn't it?
Hello all, another episode wrapped up with Tom FM. Okay, obviously you've seen the Streamer Showdown. He didn't become Tommy 2-time, but what he did become was Tommy the Entertainer. Obviously playing the guitar, singing some songs for us. And you know what? I'm pretty sure that everyone in his stream had a great time. Tommy's pushing for partner, and there'll be a graphic now on screen as to when he's streaming this week. He'd absolutely love it if you could go in and at least leave a lurk. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you do like this video, subscribe to the channel. Go watch the other 6 we've already done. I stream on Twitch on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays early from about 8 AM UK time. And on a Thursday, I'll either stream early or I'll stream in the afternoon. Details will be on my Twitter. I hope you enjoyed this show. Seriously, love doing it, and it's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Really appreciate you all, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Scouting Centre. Take care. Bye bye.